Hey, it's Dwight.
Hey, it's John. How you doing?
Doing good, John.
Great day today. It's sunny out. I
Yeah.
think we're having a heat wave. Must be.
It was up to 37 yesterday. I was going to wear my shorts, but I decided not to.
That was April 1st. Today is April 2nd,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, we have a topic today, and I got to use a prop for this. How do I look? Pretty good?
You look like that guy on Airwolf. You know, remember that old TV show?
No.
They always wear their airline pilot's glasses, which were quite in vogue back in the 70s.
Yes, they were. I still have several pairs of
I
them.
noticed you do.
Okay, well, the reason why I'm wearing these, what color are they?
I'm colorblind, John, to be honest with you. So
Okay, they're rose-colored. So,
Rose-colored glasses.
the topic today is why do we look through, a lot of times, rose-colored glasses? What does that mean when somebody says, oh, you got rose-colored glasses on?
Well, what you're talking about is the paradigm of experience.
Okay.
The paradigm of experience. There's a couple of guys that studied this. One was Immanuel Kant in 18th, 19th century. He was a son of a Lutheran pietist pastor, and Immanuel Kant noticed something. He said there's two types of knowledge. One is the a priori knowledge, and then there's all of the knowledge that you learn later. So a priori knowledge is knowledge that you're born with. You know how to breathe, you know how to make a noise, you know how to get comfortable. It seems to be knowledge that you're born with. Maybe it comes with your DNA, maybe it's planted in the womb. Nobody really knows, but it's there.
Kind of like pre-programmed.
Pre-programmed, right. So we would say that a moral sense of right and wrong would be a priori knowledge. But then he goes on to this area of experiential, or what we have learned since we have been children, or as our mothers teach us to talk, etc. So Kant says this. He says there's language that people think is ontological, in other words, that can describe the spiritual realm. But he says all such language is false and is simply philosophy, because the only language we have is the language of experience. So that brings us to the Greeks and metaphysics and trying to describe something spiritual with metaphysical language, which is simply language of experience, which is non-ontological, it's physical language. And so we get an understanding why Paul could not describe what was in heaven. He said, I heard things that were unlawful to describe. Rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses.
Then there's the, I think it was Stephen Covey who talked about paradigm, and he said, we are creatures of our learning. Of course, what Kant said was that we color our learning with our emotions. So, in other words, we draw conclusions based upon what we like, what we dislike, and we develop bias, prejudice.
Or my philosophy of what should be or shouldn't be.
Right. Now, the question is, what can change someone's paradigm? What can open somebody's eyes?
Hang on. There we go.
And of course,
a little dramatic flair, by the way.
The Bible simply says that the Spirit can lead you into all truth. Now, this has ramifications for anybody in a Lutheran church or an evangelical church who says this: sola scriptura. Can you say that, John?
Sola scriptura.
Which is Latin for Scripture alone. And then we go to the Mountain of Transfiguration, which we know had to have been in Israel, so it must have been Mount Tabor, not Mount Hermon. And so Jesus is transfigured before his three disciples, Peter, James, and John. They see the light. Now, when Jesus turns into light, they hear a voice. And then Peter describes this in 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 17 through 19. He says, but we have a more sure word of prophecy, meaning the written word of the Bible. He says this is the more sure word. The unsure word, or the one we need confirmation on, is the voice of the Spirit. So it's not Scripture alone, because Jesus said, you read the Scriptures, and in them you think you have life, but the Spirit gives life. So the Scriptures are dead without the Spirit making it alive. The voice has to come to us and to reveal. So the Spirit breaks these rose-colored glasses that you put on. It's the only thing that can do it.
So, what we need to understand is, when we read our Bibles, we need to be sensitive to what the Spirit's telling us. I know sometimes you read a passage and you may have read it 5 or 6 times, and then one day maybe the pastor's preaching on it or somebody's sharing it, or it comes to your remembrance, and it's like, oh yeah, no, oh, I didn't really see that before, but I mean, I've heard it 5 or 6 times before, but now.
Yeah, the established word comes out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So the shaky word is only one witness.
Shaky ground.
Right, shaky ground. So an example of this is a guy that I interviewed back in 2007, and he was dying, and he was a guy who was a missionary to Thailand. And I was interested in the guy because he had been used in tremendous miracles, and he had a faith level that other people just did not have, and I was curious about it. So upon talking to him, he said, when I was 25 years old, he said, I heard the voice of the Lord telling me to go to Thailand. I said, how do you hear that voice? He says, well, the voice of the Lord is the still small voice. He says, the loud voice is my flesh.
Whoa.
He says, that's how you can differentiate the two. He said, then my wife had a dream. In the dream, she sees a church that's available, and I'm 25, and we're broke, and she calls up the superintendent and says, is this church available? He says, yes, it is. She calls the board that's doing a pastor search, and she says, my husband could pastor that church. She said, if your husband would apply, we would give him the job. She comes to her husband and says, this church is open. Look how God gave me the dream. I called, confirmed it, blah, blah, blah. And he said, sorry, honey, I only go by the still small voice, and it's telling me to go to Thailand. And much to her dismay, she became a missionary wife, went to Thailand for many years, and they were mightily used. So
wow.
On Mount Tabor, the light and the voice is key, and the Bible is telling us that when Jesus returns, he's going to return the same way that he was transfigured on Mount Tabor. In other words, he's going to come as pure light, the voice of a trumpet, Revelation. The people that will hear this voice will then realize that Jesus is the Messiah of Israel.
There you go.
No rose-colored glasses required. It's the only thing that can, bust that windshield open so you can see the light.
Well, that's great news. All right.
Hey.
That's it for today.
Yeah, we're going to go have coffee now and, maybe an Egg McMuffin. So God bless you guys.
See ya.